Welcome to Truth Uncompromised. I am your host, Rhonda. Join us every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Truth is peace. Truth is justice and freedom to love, live, and be. Music provided by SourceVibrations.com. All right, family. Welcome to the Truth Uncompromised show. I am your host, Rhonda, and tonight is Thursday, October 13th. We have a great show planned for you tonight. We have a lot of stuff going on, so we will definitely do the weekly news. And this week, we are going to journey into a topic I've been kind of hinting around about it for the last couple of weeks. So tonight we're going to get into the topic, the Mandela Effect and Parallel Universes. Have we experienced a death? So that will be our main topic tonight. So with that said, I know Brother Wendell's in the house. Let me look for him. There he is. Let me bring him on board. Okay. Brother Wendell, you there?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
How are you tonight, brother?
Probably well, I reckon. Still around.
You reckon, huh? I know that's right. Yeah. Well, I do want to make an announcement to the family. We have been having a lot of problems with free conferencing. I found out that something must have happened. I think that they are starting to charge, for those of you that dial in using your cell phones versus coming in online, listening, or using your house phone. We heard that a lot of the carriers are starting to block free conferencing because they are charging your cell phone carriers some high fees. So in turn, the cell phone carriers are doing one or two things. They're either blocking you from the particular numbers for free conferencing, or they are reaching out to you telling you they're going to pass along those costs. So in addition to that, the free conferencing is trying to get me to switch to another one of their platforms. So I don't know if I'm going to do that. I have really been researching actually for the last 2 years to totally come off of free conferencing to pick another platform, and I haven't found what I want yet. Blog Talk Radio has its restrictions. So I'm saying all that to say that I'll start to make an announcement pretty soon on switching a platform, and I will give the family a countdown of what new platform we're going to go to. So those of you that have been trying to get on, if you're getting wrong number, some old crap like that, or you just can't get on at all, that's probably what's going on. Your cell phone carrier is blocking you, but in their defense, they don't want to pay whatever fees that free conferencing is trying to pass on to them, so they're either blocking you or they are passing those fees on to you. So with that said, and plus the quality is getting worse and worse with free conferencing. So I'll be making a switch pretty soon. Okay. So with that said, Brother Wendell, we're going to get into the news. A lot of stuff jumping off as usual. But before I do that, one of my sis, she sent me something that I want to share with the family. She's just getting around because she was really busy. So she's just starting to listen to the Lost Book of Inky series. She's going back on the archives on YouTube listening to them. So she basically was like, oh, my God, Rhonda, this is genius, blah, 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 blah. So she's been emailing me back and forth. And so she ran across something, Brother Wendell. They have a video game out. And she emailed me, and I was just so proud of her because she picked this up based on the Lost Book of Inky series. The name of it is a G, IGEE. So, of course, we know that's really a GG.
Yeah.
And so I went onto their website, and it's a gaming website. And let me see, I thought I had copied the little website name. Dang on it. I could have sworn I copied it. But you can look it up. If you go Google it, it's IGEE, and it's literally a gaming site. But the synopsis of it is, soon after the construction of the Ark, IG was established in 2802 by the young and bold entrepreneur Sullivan III. He shaped the company in the image of a scientific organization of centuries past, whilst placing a focus on rewarding scientific discovery, interstellar exploration, and exchange of information. A true visionary, Sullivan saw the immediate potential for creating modern information infrastructure in a post-Ark world. His legacy lives on in the Sully Grant issued to the most ambitious intergalactic explorers. The organization is now presided over by Sullivan's heir, Kent, who, while having grown weary with age, continues to inspire the company to maintain its high standards. The current board of directors was appointed in 2945 with the goal of expanding the company's reach. The board strives to continuously grow and improve IG's information relay systems, client and partner relations, and research and exploration incentives. With its dedicated team and state-of-the-art fleet, IG continues to excel at its mission to provide you with a high-quality information platform. So when you go on their particular site, that's from the About You from IG. It's basically talking about these intergalactical beings that's going around the different galaxies and setting up different civilizations. So it's basically a game. You can join in all that, but I didn't have time to do that crap because I'm not into that gaming stuff. I know a lot of other people are into that gaming. So I was just really, really tickled, and I'll have to ask her because she has 3 boys, so I don't know if her boys are gamers, and that's how she ran across that. But it just really tickled me that she immediately picked up that name, Ajiz. Like, oh my goodness, they're, emulating the Ajiji. And she's like, do you think that they're trying to tell the story of the future, or are they talking about the past? I'm like, well, it could be a combination of both. So I thought you would find that interesting, Brother Wendell. They done made a game out of the Ajijis.
Let me tell you something. When I was going through that book and researching different stuff, I ain't gonna say 80%. I would say 95 to 99% of those games are based off of mythology.
And I tell people that, but they straight don't want to believe you. Just like I said, all of the superhero movies are based off of mythology.
Yeah. I mean, they had the character names and all that stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
1,000% agree. But that just tickled me that, here this sister had just really started listening to the Lost Book of Inky's series, but she was able to make the connection between a G and a GG. So,
tell her don't sleep. Tell her don't sleep on that game and check it out.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to ask her. Are the boys the one? Because anybody that's a gamer, they so high tech with it now.
Yeah.
And what another thing, and I so happened I was flipping through the channels, and damn, I know you know the name of this movie. Let me get my thoughts together. It was about a little boy that they recruited this little boy because he was real good at video games. And so they took him to this training camp, and it was a lot of other brilliant children there that was good with science and all of that. I think it was Gamer or Game In. And bottom line is he wound up rising through the rank because of his intelligence, and they were training these children to fight a war, a galactical war. And so they kept putting them through these simulation tests. And so finally, when he got through because Harrison Ford was in it, and damn, the one dude, I can't think of his name, he always played in some weird stuff. But anyhow, they kept putting these children, this little team, together through these simulation tests. So the last little test, they claimed that if the team won the simulation game, then they was going to put them to war. Well, bottom line is the last simulation test they wind up putting the children through was actually the war. And so they wind up winning. And then that's when he discovered that it was an automatic war, and they blew this planet up. Now, the beings that they blew up on the planet, they look like ants to me. But I don't know specifically what species they were. But the little boy kept feeling that the queen ant was trying to talk to him through telekinesis. So once they blew up the planet, then he some type of way, and I forget because I had seen the movie before, he some type of way connects with the queen ant, and then he broke out and went and visited, jumped on one of the little spacecrafts, went and visited, and then him and the queen ant got to talking. And so the little boy basically found out that the queen ant in them wasn't trying to kill them, that their planet was dying. Now, this is the part that tripped me out, Brother Wendell, because what made me stop on it, because I'm going to have to go back and watch this movie again, and I'm going to find it for y'all family, or when somebody get in the queue, they can tell me. To show you how this stuff is based on mythology, because when they were viewing into one of the planets, they saw the spacecraft over this planet, and you could see them, the planet was icy, and you could see the spacecraft turning the ice into water, and they was bringing it up to the ship. So then other people, the other crew asked, well, what are they doing? And he said, oh, they're harvesting water. So I thought about in the Lost Book of Inky, when the Anunnaki, they had that little device where they could look at them planets before they even landed and tell whether or not they had water, and how they would basically do the same thing as they was traveling through the galaxy. They would stop, refresh whatever, and get the water. So I found that very interesting as well. So I'll try to get that movie for y'all family tonight.
Little people know that gaming is nothing more than simulation, and as sinister as it may sound, these people put these games out here to create all this stuff, and see what people don't understand. Whatever's on the net, somebody got control of that, and they're watching.
Absolutely, and they've been telling us this quite a while. in the movies about that gaming, because, I mean, you know, those of us that were teenagers in the 80s or whatever, there was a few movies that came out about these computer nerds who were real good at gaming, and they could either hack systems or they could get so high up in the game, and then behind the scenes, it was the Alphabet Boys.
Yeah.
That was creating these games, or they were monitoring who was outsmarting the games, and then they would recruit them.
Yeah.
Which I read a couple of articles in the alternative media that says that that's exactly what they do. They recruit a lot of these folk for the cyber warfare and all of that jazz. And the movie that I just recently went to see, Snowden, talked about that as well, how everything that is done on the web is highly monitored. So why should gaming be any different?
Yeah, because, you know, the key to that whole thing is your little IP address.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
They know exactly who you are.
And where exactly where you are. You know, unless, you know, you one of the hackers and you know how to jump IP addresses, it gets pretty tricky. But even with that, they're able to they track people like that. That's very highly intelligent, that's able to do that. And I'm going to tell you where that's coming from. It's coming from these babies.
Yeah.
It's the younger generation that are the ones that are so smart that they are hacking past these systems. So they try to recruit them early, you know, to get them to work for them, basically.
Yeah, let's look at, I don't know how many people realize it or whatever, but in the Matrix, Neo was a side job. He was a hacker.
Yes, absolutely.
He was a hacker.
Absolutely. That's true. That's absolutely true. That's what he was. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, and speaking of that movie, did anybody catch when, remember they kept saying Neo was the one, he the one. And then when he went to the Oracle, she basically told him, no, you ain't the one. Morpheus is the one. So I found that was interesting. When I first saw that movie, when it first came out years ago, I was so fascinated with it. I wasn't on the journey. I guess I was on the journey I am now, but I didn't have the particular knowledge. And still one of my all-time favorite movies, because it dropped so much knowledge in it. It's just crazy.
Periodically, I go back and watch all three of them.
Me too. And that last one, I have to really go back and watch it, because recently folks have dropped clues, or they're saying that basically at the end, when Neo went all the way up, he saw the edge of the planet, woo, this, that, and the third. So I'm going to have to go back and do like you, just take a particular day with my notebook and get my look on again. So real quick, the other thing I want to talk about before we get into the news on movies, I did go this weekend to see Birth of a Nation. Now, I don't typically do slave movies. To me, it's programming, and I'm not trying to have all that. But because it was Nat Turner, the story of Brother Nat Turner, and the fact that they were giving the brother that made it, Nate Parker, such a hard time with all these rape allegations, this, that, and the third, I said, you know what? I'm going to go see it for general purposes. So I went to see the movie, and I have to say that the movie was highly, highly emotional. I think Nate Parker did an excellent job. It was really, really raw. I see why they did not want him to make it. It was a very raw movie. And I'll have to go back because it was so emotional. Wasn't a dry eye in the house. But on top of that, he dropped some metaphysics stuff in there. I didn't know until I saw the movie that the actual revolt itself happened based on an eclipse, a solar eclipse. He said that was his sign, specifically when he was going to do the revolt. And then throughout the movie, he would have these particular flashbacks. And the flashbacks were definitely ritualistic in nature. So what I need to know, because I'm getting mixed stories out there, because as I'm watching the movie and I'm seeing all these ritualistic flashbacks, because the movie said that his grandmother said they were from Africa. But I got the vibe, I said, I think y'all from Haiti. So I came back and tried to do a little research, and I got conflicting stories. One story did say that Nat Turner's people did come from Haiti, and then one said Africa. So, maybe they're saying that originally they were from Africa to Haiti to America or America. But if anybody knows whether Nat Turner was from Africa specifically, when we open up the queue, get in the queue and let me know, because that would make perfect sense to me on a couple of scenes that were so happened to drop, that were dropped in the movie. So, but a really good movie. I enjoyed it. And it wasn't so much about enjoying it as I never seen anything that raw hit the big screens in regards to a slave revolt. So I'm sure it wasn't perfect, but it is certainly a start. And he put his career on the line to do it, because they certainly didn't want the film made. So probably in the future, anybody that's going to go down that path, they should just do like the brother on Hidden Colors did. Just release it yourself. Yep. And take that middleman out of the picture, because they're going to either manipulate sales or they'll choose how many theaters to release it in. So that way you can control it yourself. So hopefully some of these other folks, because I also heard that another brother wants to release a movie about the Moors, and then another brother wants to release the movie about the richest king in Africa. Forget his name. It starts with an M, who really the Lion King was based on. He wants to release a movie. So hopefully these particular folks are just going to bypass the typical Hollywood game in general, going through a distributor, and do like the Hidden Color man, just release it yourself on other avenues. Invest in streaming or old school DVDs, but release
it yourself and ship it from your house.
Exactly. Go old school like the rappers used to do, and how they asses probably for the most part should have stayed selling tapes out your
at the car.
Yeah. And doing live concerts.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, back in the day, I know now the truth, I know we straight dating ourselves, Brother Wendell. But, yes, for the youngins, that's how it was done. There was things called mixtapes, And I heard there's still mixtapes, but they were actually mixtapes, and folks would sell them out the back of the trunk of their car, and that's how they literally got started. These record companies did not come and discover these people. The people that they put on the map were already good or pretty well known in their little neighborhoods or either their little regions.
Yeah.
And then the record companies picked them up. And a lot of them said that once they start calculating what the record company is taking out and what they say they owe them, they really missed out on a lot of wealth. A lot of their wealth was taken.
They might well have one got on the clock, and that's what they did.
That's exactly what they did. That is exactly what they did. So, and the one that really blew my mind, of which he did it smart, but he still could have done a lot better, but Master P, because he was a millionaire, although I'm sure it was a lot of the drug game involved in that too. That's a separate little story, whatever. But he came into the industry a millionaire. And so when he negotiated his deal, he negotiated the rights, his publishing rights and all of that. But bottom line, when you get hooked up with these record companies, they're going to get you one way or the other. So it's best to just do your own thing. And some say that's allegedly why they killed Sam Cooke, too, because he had started his own record label. So let me see. Brother Khalid just sent me. What did he say? Okay, Nat Turner's last name was Tunica. He is kin to Empress Verdici, Gaston Bay. That's interesting.
That's Washita.
Yes. So yep, Washita. Yep, baby, I got it. Washita. He was Washita. They stole thousands of acres of the Okay, thank you, Brother Khalid, because I'm sitting in the movie and I'm like, I ain't buying this Africa situation. I was getting the whole Haiti, and if he was like the New Orleans vibe, I'm not sure if they were on that New Orleans land. New Orleans and Haiti always remind me of each other because a lot of folks went back and forth between the two. So that makes a lot more sense to me. Thank you, Brother Khalid. I knew that damn Africa shit didn't sound right to me.
I had heard that earlier. I forgot about it, but yeah, that's true.
Okay, so that makes sense why he was kicking ass and taking names.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Because he was not a slave.
Yes, and somebody posted that on Facebook that he was not a slave. And then when I think I went on, I can't remember when I Googled it where I got that from, because when they made the point he was a light-skinned African, I said, you MF are lying. There ain't too many light-skinned Africans that ain't mixed with the true Americans. So that let me know there that now he had to have been on this land and not from Africa like they said. So thank you for that. Thank you for that, Brother Khalid. And the name of that movie I was talking about the little boy that was leading the army and all of that, Ender's Game. Yep, Ender's Game. So if you get a chance, check out that movie, Ender's Game. You'll know what I'm talking about on how they use that video game simulation for really warfare. So, okay, so now we truly going to get in the news. I had to get that out. Okay, so Brother Wendell, they straight clowning as flat out usual. We're going to go to your shipping real quick. I know. So I never pronounced this company properly. So is it Hanjin?
Yeah, Hanjin.
Okay, so they're liquidating their stuff.
Mm.
And so it is saying that, and I have to sign into this. This was coming out of the Wall Street Journal, and they're basically saying that as of today, they're starting liquidation proceedings. The Wall Street Journal is getting on my nerves with all this validation. Damn it. Let me go back to it. Let's see if it'll let me on. Okay, so the article came out, I think I saw it today. The Hanjin Shipping Asia-US route assets to be put on sale. Sale notice could be put up as early as Friday. So the South Korean bankruptcy court handling Hanjin Shipping Company's insolvency proceedings said Thursday it plans to dispose of the firm's sales and marketing network for its Asia-US route in an effort to raise funds and help rehabilitate the indebted company. The court will put up sale notices as early as Friday, a judge at the Seoul Central District Court said. Hanjin subsidiaries involved in handling Asia-US cargo as well as some container ships would be sold, he said. He declined to say whether any local or foreign companies had shown any interest in the assets. Okay, I'm trying to get to the good stuff. Okay, a few weeks ago, the court indicated that it is considering selling the entire company together with its major assets abroad. So it says the Hanjin Shipping, the country's biggest shipping company and the world's 7th largest in terms of capacity, filed for bankruptcy protection in late August and is under a court order to sell its own ships and return charter ships to their owners. The company has a total of 97 container ships, of which 60 were chartered and 37 owned by Hanjin. The sale plan comes as creditors line up claims to get their money back from one of the industry's biggest bankruptcies. Hanjin had total debt of $6.03 trillion and then $5.3 billion at the end of June. So let me see. And then it was basically saying that the largest, the Danish conglomerate, Maersk, and we talked about them, is it likely to move to buy it? And so let's see. Oh, and so this is the part I wanted to get to. Korea's maritime minister said Thursday that 68 vessels from Hanjin's container fleet of 97 ships have finished unloading cargo at ports around the world. About 14 cargo-laden ships remain stranded at sea, while 15 ships are headed back to Korea to berth at Busan and other ports where Hanjin's ships can freely unload cargo without the threat of seizure from creditors. Government officials have said they expect about 90% of Hanjin's container ships to complete unloading by the end of October. So there you have it, family. We've been telling you that for quite a while, that shipping was in trouble. Mainstream media said nothing. We told you that cargo was either being abandoned stranded at sea, or cargo was being turned around at different ports, or refusing U.S., particularly the U.S. merchandise, because they didn't want to be paid in the dollar. We were also tracking the Baltic Dry Index that tells you how many raw goods are being imported and exported. And we told you how it was the lowest. It's lower than it was during the 2008 crash. So now there you have it. We literally have one that is bankrupt, and we discussed Merck, which is the largest one. They're fighting for survival. They're shutting down businesses and consolidating to try to survive as well. So there you have it.
There's going to be a lot of containers on the Florida Ocean.
I know. When they said that, they have some stranded at sea, I'm like, yeah, us quote conspiracy theorists, we told y'all that shit last year.
Yeah.
And the mainstream media wouldn't pick it up. But now that they have to force to talk about it, because now these particular shipping companies are going under, now they want to admit that they're stranded at sea. So now we know damn well there is not a crew sitting out there with some cargo waiting to be rescued. That means that shit was abandoned at sea.
Yep.
So there you have it.
They put up all that money to get that stuff on the water, and they got to leave it there because they can't take it back in the warehouse.
Exactly, because you got to pay storage fees and stuff.
It's gonna cost too much to restock that.
Exactly. So they'd rather just have it sit out there. Now, whether or not they didn't got their bootleg on, that's a separate story. I would imagine they did. Emptied out what they could and selling it on the hot market. But nonetheless, it's not going through their traditional channel.
Yeah, see, now everything's so screwed up. The insurance companies know what the deal is, so they can't sink it and get the insurance money.
Absolutely. Now, that's a very good point, Brother Wendell. That's a very good point. They can't sink it. They be like, oh, you ain't finna get paid on that. So yeah, I'm sure they're taking off there what they can and getting their black market on.
Yeah, they got the hustlers and rest of it. They got to do like they said in the hood, charge it to the game.
Yep, they got to right, charge it to the game. Exactly. Okay, so in other financial news, y'all, here's two things to be watching out for. First one is Deutsche Bank ain't getting no better. They're basically at this point selling, and I kind of find this funny, but on the other hand, it tells you where we are. So one article says that they have resorted to selling debt bonds to try to get some cash to survive. Now, let's think about this. Everybody know you finna collapse. Who the hell you think gonna buy your dusty-ass bonds? So that shows you how desperate they are. So in the meantime, this cat came out on RT News saying Deutsche Bank bankruptcy would collapse world financial system. No shit, Sherlock. We've been saying that for the past couple of months now, that Deutsche Bank is the new Lehman Brothers. And so the article goes on to say the main reason the U.S. government wants $14 billion in penalties from the German bank is that it is deep in debt. They've got a gigantic deficit. They are desperate for money. They'll try to get it any way they can, Jim Rogers, financial commentator and investor, told RT. Germany's Deutsche Bank reportedly failed to reach an agreement with the U.S. on settling a massive fine. The bank is facing a $14 billion penalty from the U.S. Justice Department for mis-selling mortgage securities in the run-up to the 2008 financial crisis. Now let's pause here. If you think $14 billion is a lot, I mean, to you and I, it's a lot. But let's think of Deutsche Bank. They are like the main bank in Germany, and they're an international bank. So now you would think $14 billion is nothing for them. So that just goes to show you what state that they're in. Okay, the main reason, that I think I read that already. The bank said it won't pay anything near to what the U.S. has asked for. How will this be settled? That's RT. And the guy, Jim, is saying either Deutsche Bank goes bankrupt, which is going to bring down the entire financial system, or they are going to come up with some kind of compromise at a lower number. If Deutsche Bank does have to pay $14 billion, you should be very worried anyway, but especially if they have to pay $14 billion. So I'm not going to go on and read this. So here's the game on Deutsche. Let me piece game for y'all. I'm going to go back to the 2008 financial crisis. All right, and there's a good movie out. It's an HBO movie. It kind of tells you how the 2008 financial crash, how they sat around the table and they made the decision which bank was going to stay, which bank was going to go, which bank was going to buy which bank. Lehman Brothers wind up being the fall guy. Goldman Sachs shit, or Goldman Sachs, got saved. Wells Fargo had to buy up some other failing banks. I think they bought up Countrywide, if I'm not mistaken, and Wachovia. Yep, and Wachovia, Countrywide and Wachovia. J.P. Morgan also had to buy up a bank, and I can see this bank so clearly in my mind, but they bought up another bank. So they sat around the table and agreed that Lehman Brothers would be the bank that they would let fall, and that they were going to basically put Lehman Brothers up to be the poster bad child. Okay? Same thing is happening with Deutsche. Make no mistake about it. If Deutsche shit is raggedy, everybody else's is raggedy as well, because they're all connected. Now, Merkel, Germany's top dog, she had came out and said that they're not going to give Deutsche Bank a bailout. So that right there told me that they have already made their decision behind the scenes that Deutsche Bank is going to be the Lehman Brothers of today. Now you coming out with the U.S. Corp hitting them with this big fine that they know damn well they can't pay. And they already know that Merkel said that they aren't going to bail them out. So now they're starting to put out these stories, and this isn't the first story where the one gentleman says that if Deutsche falls, the whole financial system collapses. Everybody now is coming out to say that. So they're already setting up the Patsy Bank to try to point the finger for the next financial crash, and that is definitely going to be Deutsche. So that is one to watch out for when you see stories on Deutsche Bank, because it's playing out how they are allowing it to fail. Okay, and so the other thing that I saw, another thing that I want the family to pay attention to, the British pound is like, it's taking a huge hit. So we talked about how the Brits voted to get out of the European Union. So now their currency, which is the pound, has been taking a beating. And article out in RT News came out today, although I've been seeing it over the past month where the pound has been lower, getting lower, and fluctuating. And so this particular article is saying that the British pound has fallen to low measures against a basket of trading currencies not seen since the mid-19th century. The effective exchange rate calculated to mirror UK trade is at rock bottom after hitting a low 29.27. Now, peep that. They said that their exchange rate is mirroring trade. We just talked about these trade companies, the shipping companies rather, going bankrupt, refusing to ship to these different places. So now I can only speculate that the UK is another country or nation that the rest of the world is deciding not to ship goods to because they don't want to settle in the pound. They don't want their currency. And now that it's fallen so low, we know damn well they're not going to want to settle in the pound. We know they don't want to settle in the dollar. They don't want to settle in the pound. They don't want to settle in the euro. So pay attention. Okay. So the mark is lower than the level sterling hit during the financial crisis, the introduction of the floating exchange rate of the 1970s, and even the decision to leave the gold standard in the 1930s. On Tuesday, sterling fell to a 31-year low against the U.S. dollar over concerns of a possible hard Brexit. It traded as low as 1.2117 against the greenback. Let me see. I'm trying to just get to the good stuff. Okay. Here we go. This is the good stuff. Some analysts warn the British pound might fall out of the IMF's elite basket of reserve currencies due to its continuous nosedive. So remember last week I read an article telling you that China's yuan has been added to the basket of currencies. And they also hinted and threw in there, but although, they've been added to the reserve basket of currencies, they have a long way to go to become the reserve currency. I told you all last week that they're full of shit. China is already, the yuan is already the new reserve, the world reserve currency. They're softly introducing it to the public. Now, literally just 1 week later, now they're telling us, or hinting and telling us, that the IMF is looking to throw the Brits out of the basket of currency or out of the IMF totally. So pay very, very close attention on that pound or the Brexit and on Deutsche Bank. So I'll yield, Brother Wendell, in case you want to put something on it. If not, we'll move the hell on.
Keep it moving, because it's a hell of a mess going on.
And it is a mess. It's definitely a mess.
And you know what? I'll be so glad when December get here, because things will get tighter and tighter and tighter as we go along, and they need to go let this whole thing flop. Get it over with.
Yeah, they do. They do, because they're already gearing up, telling folk that Christmas is not going to be good. I've heard everything from weather. I did hear somebody come out and admit it's because of the shipping crisis, which is rare for them to admit that. So they're already setting it up to say that December's retail numbers, just forget about it. They're going to be real bad. So it's going to be interesting. I know that folk call in and ask about a currency reset and when is the reset going to happen. And I say again, I don't personally believe they're going to come out and make an announcement. They're going to do it like you're seeing in the news. They're going to keep telling you which companies are failing, which are getting kicked out of the IMF, and then you're going to all of a sudden just start hearing the new basket of currencies that are going to lead. That's, to me, how that currency reset is going to happen.
Yeah, they go make that announcement. Go wake up one morning and know your shit gonna work.
Well, yeah, now that's a hard announcement.
And you gonna be thinking, I got a dub in my pocket. They can't buy nothing.
Exactly, just like TD Banks and I think it was Deutsche. People couldn't use their little cards or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, we shall see. So, yeah. Okay, so that's all with financial news. That's all the time we're going to spend on that. Only thing in political news, there is a lot of rambling going on about warships being launched. One of the warships, and the name kind of tripped me out. One of the U.S. Corp warships called Mason. I'm like, how y'all can't get no more obvious? Y'all make me damn sick. But anyway, supposedly and allegedly, missiles was fired out of Libya on the Mason warship, and then earlier today, someone sent me. And I appreciate that. Thank you. They sent me something saying that Iran has officially launched their warships. They've deployed their warships. Okay, and so that's not in addition to a lot of the military fighting that's going on in Syria with Putin calling out the U.S., telling them y'all bull crapping pretty much. We know that you're behind arming these rebels. You're manipulating the U.S. public. So Putin's been in the news a lot this week, putting the U.S. Corp on notice. So we talked about last week where Russia held a drill with 40 million folks, and they were going a nuclear drill, actually, and they were going underground bunkers. So it definitely appears that folks are, other nations are preparing for war. They're either physically launching war vessels, and that's including the U.S. Corp, because they have their war vessels off of the coast of Iran. We know they're off of the South China Sea. But the other nations are physically preparing their people for war. But, of course, the U.S. Corp is doing neither. They have the distractions of the elections.
They got the ball games. They got the ball games. They got
everything. Folks getting their clothes, getting their jewelry stole. Clowns supposedly and allegedly harassing people. wig cocked to the side and Hitlery campaign. They got everything else talked about in the U.S. except these other nations preparing for war.
It's crazy.
It's crazy as hell. So, again, I'm going to say, don't depend on them to tell you anything. Get yourself together. Make sure you have staples. I've heard people say 30 days. I've heard people say 90 days. I even had somebody tell me you probably should tell them 6 months. So, whatever you can afford to do, make sure that you protect your family and yourself. If you take life-threatening medicine, make sure you have that stocked up as well, because they're not going to tell you, but we have been telling you, and the rest of the world is telling you they have already prepared for war. Okay. So the last thing before we go into the topic tonight, we have on things that make you go, They are every other week, if not every week, they are coming out with quote, quote, discoveries, and this will lead into our topic tonight, of these Earth-like planets. So here's yet another article, came out a couple of days ago on RT News, Earth-like planet and solar system habitable zones to be photographed for the first time. Scientists are planning to launch a new telescope capable of photographing Earth-like planets in a nearby solar system which could be home to alien life. The privately financed and sensitive initiative, oh, hell no, y'all. How I misread this, and the first time I read this, my bad. How did I miss this? The privately financed initiative called Project Blue, Project Blue. I think of Project Blue Beam, but whatever, hopes to take the first photo of a planet in the so-called habitable zone, the area around a star in which life is able to exist. Led by the U.S.-based Boldly Go Institute, a non-profit scientific organization, the project will focus on nearby solar systems Alpha Centauri and aims to have built the telescope by 2020 at an estimated cost of $25 million to $50 million. Okay, so if they're saying it's going to be done in 4 years, that means they done had it done at least 10 years ago. Boldly Go Institute CEO John Morse, who was formerly director of astrophysics at NASA, there you have it, describes the proposed telescope as the holy grail of exoplanet research. Moore said the project will focus on Alpha Centauri partly because it is close to Earth, but also because there's a greater chance of photographing a habitable planet. The fact that you do have 2 stars at Alpha Centauri is like 2 coin flips, Morse told Popular Science. There's 4 possible outcomes and only one of them is nothing, so we're hoping that at least one of the stars will have a terrestrial planets around it, and possibly both, which would be an amazing discovery. Although the solar system is near to Earth, such distance is relative to the vastness of the universe. Alpha Centauri is a mind-boggling 4.22 light years away, which means exactly. And but that even blew my mind that they even admitted the 4.22 years. So that's why the bastards lying, saying that the little telescope gonna be ready in 2020. They think they slick. So, 4.22 light years away, which means it would take humans about 100 years to get there if traveling at a speed of 13,411 kilometers per second. Yeah, whatever. Project Blue hopes to photograph this enormous distance with a telescope about the size of a small washing machine and with a mirror of only 15 centimeters across. The telescope will use a chronograph to block out light from more distant stars, allowing the lens to capture clear photographs of planets that will otherwise be drowned out by the brightness of real nearby stars. So now let me ask you this. They want me to sit up here and believe that they're going to supposedly and allegedly send us back clear photographs when they giving us grainy-ass photographs of Mars. Yeah, right.
They need to stop playing and go and admit that's the same solar system that's been in our solar system since the year 2000.
Exactly. Come on and stop playing. All y'all telling us is 4 years from now, if it's not sooner than that, you're not going to have enough chemtrail spray to cover up these planets.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, man.
So that's on that. So once again, every week, or at least every other week, they are definitely coming out with articles talking about these quote-unquote Earth-like planets being found with their own solar system. So once again, I personally feel that they are talking about Nibiru and its solar system.
Yeah, all these folks got them PhDs too, don't they?
Exactly.
How high and deep.
Exactly. I call it, all of the initials behind your name. They got all of that, but yet all of them, how much you want to bet, all of them have cracked open the ancient text. They know exactly what to look for, and they probably, I'm sure, have a lot more information than we have because they have the other cuneiform texts or scrolls that they then dug up from around this planet. They've already been translated, so they know exactly when everything is going to jump off as far as Nibiru being visible and all of that. Because I believe it's visible now, probably with an amateur telescope, if they weren't using so many chemtrails and lasers to alter our atmosphere, alter the sky.
Yeah.
So, all right then, Brother Wendell. So we're going to get started with tonight's topic. And tonight's topic, I wanted to introduce this to the family because I heard about this. I had never heard about it before, and it kept coming up. The Mandela Effect and Parallel Universes. And then it also had me thinking, and then I ran across some other information. Have we experienced the death? So the Mandela Effect, for those of you that aren't familiar with that, that is it's kind of a term that's been pegged the Mandela Effect because it's situations where a number of people have memories that are different from available evidence. The term was coined by paranormal enthusiast Fiona Broom, who says she and other people remember Nelson Mandela dying in the 1980s rather than in 2013. She argues that common memories which appear mistaken could be explained by the existence of parallel universes that are able to interact with each other. So I am going to play an introductory clip that talks about the Mandela effect a little bit. It says, scientists blow the whistle on Mandela effect. Whistleblower tells all with proof and examples explained. Now, this is coming off of a YouTube channel called Night Terrors. So those of you that are not familiar with the Mandela effect, this will give you a glimpse into it. So this is just 7 minutes long, family. I'm going to play this clip, and then we're going to come back and chop it up, and then I'm actually going to open up the phone lines because I want to know your thoughts too, if you've heard of this particular phenomenon, and also we'll get into a little bit of the parallel universes. So here we go, family.
The Mandela Effect is named for the millions of people who remember that Nelson Mandela died in the 1980s. Except that he didn't. History changed, and Mandela lived until 2013. Now a scientist has come forward who confesses he is part of the group which is responsible for thousands of small changes in our timeline. In August of 2016, he said his name was Jeremy. At 4chan.org, an anonymous forum, he admitted to be one of the 23 scientists, a group called The Collective, which is changing human history. Although he is a young man in his 20s, he suffers from exposure to the equipment used to alter time. He will be dead before his next birthday. He believes the public has a right to know. Therefore, Jeremy is blowing the whistle now. Part of the Mandela Effect is the sudden appearance of new animal species on Earth, such as the flying fox. This is a new kind of bat with a wingspan of 6 feet, which did not exist until this year. And then, abruptly, it had always existed. In the Maldives and the Philippines and Australia. According to Jeremy, the Mandela Effect started after the Earth suffered an extinction event back in 2012. He will not reveal the nature of the worldwide catastrophe, but the clues point to nuclear war. The Collective was a gathering of physicists who survived. They knew their one chance to save the planet was to alter the timeline. A quantum computer gave them access to the manipulation of space-time, and our history was reset. Unfortunately, the original history leaves a residue. Even after the war itself was eliminated, to protect humanity from the higher level of background radiation which lingered. The scientists experimented with improvements to the human body. They increased the size of the liver to better process environmental toxins. To increase the size of the heart, they had to modify its position. The heart has always been located on the left side of the chest. Today, that is no longer the case. The heart is now located in the center of the chest. This can be confirmed on any medical website. Most people now believe it's always been there. But some of us remember. Part of residual reality is that some people remember the original history instead of the new history. Jeremy calls this a failure of the veil, or the software updates being applied to nature. Now that the collective has prevented our extinction, Jeremy fears they wish to manufacture the future by overwriting our memories. But the quantum computer program has a more serious bug. The population is suffering temporal side effects. The newest updates are producing symptoms like chronic headaches, loss of breath, memory holes, and feelings of paranoia. If the program is not fixed, the result may be a kind of server crash, in which the nuclear war timeline will be restored retroactively. The human race will have already died, having starved and been frozen in nuclear winter. The Mandela Effect is also responsible for changes being made to the text of the Holy Bible. Isaiah chapter 11, verse 6 once read, "The lion shall live with the lamb." Now it reads, "The wolf shall live with the lamb." However, residual proof of the lion can be seen in works of religious art. Soon, people will begin to doubt their Bible is really the Word of God. The number of changes already made to the original timeline is more than 12,000. Jeremy says the true nature of reality is like Russian nesting dolls, because even as the collective revises our reality, they bear their own memory lapses, leading to the suspicion that they themselves are being manipulated in space-time by some unknown outside committee, of which they know nothing.
Okay, family. So the name of that video was "Scientists Blow Whistle on Mandela Effect." Whistleblower tells all with proof and examples explained, and that was off the YouTube channel Night Terrors. So let me open up the phone lines. Okay, so if you want to join the conversation, press *6 to get in the queue. So that was one of the things I wanted to introduce to the family, and we're also going to go into the concept of parallel universes and how that may tie in to the Mandela effect. But I also want to get some of your take on the Mandela effect. Had you ever heard of it? So let me open up the phone line with VOIP.
Oh man, I beat the mirror tonight. All right.
Yeah. hey.
The night is still young. She probably waiting on her little cute. Is she somewhere nodding off?
You know, that juice. I'm gonna say, man, that's that one quick.
Yeah. So Amir gonna get hers in. You know she is. So you did beat her tonight. Oh boy.
I hadn't heard of that Mandela effect, but all while you were talking, all I could think of was that series that used to be on Fox called Friends.
That's going to bring Friends up tonight.
Yeah.
Talk about Friends, brother. Friends was the it. That is my stuff right there. Talk about Friends for a little bit.
Yeah, but they had the parallel universes and everything.
Yep. Sure did.
Yeah.
Sure did. And did they not, with the parallel universes, first they started out with them jumping to the different dimensions via the little Stargate. And
Right.
they will fight over the Stargate from the other Greys, because they actually had Greys on that show, and the Men in Black. And so
Right.
then they got, as the series went on throughout the years, because the last year it was all about parallel universes, and then the people, the main characters, existed simultaneously in those different parallel universes.
Yep.
I exactly thought about Friends when I ran across this concept.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, I had never heard of the Mandela Effect, but what hit me to it when they started talking about just little subtle changes in movies, and then a couple of other things, and I'm like, yeah, I kind of remember that this way, but you can find no record of it existing today. And one of the things that blew my wig back was the actual map itself, with how America is shaped up, with how South America is positioned, and how Florida looks and how Cuba looks. Florida looks shorter to me. Cuba looks like it's damn near in the Gulf of Mexico now. South America is all swung more east. And so I'm like, that ain't the way I remember the maps being drawn. So I said, well, maybe that they trying to pull what they always damn pull, redrawing the damn map for whatever particular purpose. So then I remember when Sister Divinity and I was doing When Rocks Cry Out, I pulled a lot of the maps up because I was looking at the exact location of the travel of our ancestors from South America over to the Americas. So I saved a lot of those maps on my hard drive. I said, okay, so Rhonda, you didn't Google all you can Google. You done looked at the different maps, and you see where the way you particularly remember it is different. I said, so go to your personal PC. I'd be damned if those maps were changed also.
No, do me a favor, Rhonda. Mute me out for 1 second. I'm going to have some noise in here.
Okay, sweetie pie. So that's when the Mandela Effect for me, I'm like, WTF. I know I remember. Now, Florida, I don't remember Florida being that damn short. And I damn sure don't I know Cuba is only 90 miles from Florida, so I'm going to give them that. But how the hell Cuba swung all the way in the damn Gulf of Mexico? I'm like, I don't remember it being drawn like that. So what the hell is going on? So that's what made me come in contact with the Mandela Effect.
Look, I've been experiencing that my whole life.
Have you? I mean,
I just say, hey man, damn, I must be tripping.
and maybe I have, but Brother Wendell, I swear to you, and I was gonna give them all of that, even with the little movie stuff. I'm like, well, no, I don't remember the movie saying that, but okay, whatever. But when it got to that map, and then when I went to my personal machine, I said, oh, hell no, what the hell is going on?
Hey, back in the day, when I tripped like that, well, let me give me a shot at one night and go get this over with.
I'm telling you.
Because I'm sure I'm tripping.
I know. I know I ain't going to lie. I had to light a little something up and swig on a little beer. Because I said, no, hell to the no. What the hell is going on? Something ain't right here.
Yeah.
So, okay, let me go to 301. Okay. 301, your line is open? I'm sorry, sweetie. 301, your line is open? 301?
Hey, Carter, you forgot you called in?
I know. I'm going to try. It could be me.
Might be some of that Mandela Effect.
I know, right? Okay, there you are. Greetings, beloved.
Just had to switch off of VoIP.
Okay, that's you, brother. Okay. Got you.
Oh, I couldn't leave that Friends thing alone. No.
Yeah, and Friends was a Fox show, so you could pick it up on. Is it on Netflix? Do you know? I think it's on Netflix now. But anyhow, I highly recommend it. Start with the first season, and you're going to see them most of the stuff that we talk about here. They get into all of that about the parallel universes, the different entities, etc. Very, 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 very good show. And brother, which particular university were they working out of? I know you remember.
Boston. They were in Boston somewhere. I believe at MIT.
Harvard.
Yeah, okay, it was Harvard.
Yep.
Working out the basement.
Yep, working out the basement, and the father scientist was brilliant, and I'm telling you, y'all, it's deep, and they have stuff in there about some of the children being altered and given special abilities, and then you have star children coming through the gateway. It's a real deep series. So when I started hearing about this Mandela and parallel universes, I just sat there like, wow. Okay, so he dropped off, so he'll have to come back in. So if you have a question or comment, press *6 to get in the queue. So we're going to go into parallel universes. Now you know what the Mandela Effect is. So that's basically that you remember things one way, but now they're a different way. So they started with the example of when Nelson Mandela actually died. They also have many other movie examples, like Sex in the City. They're now calling it Sex and the City. Bernstein Bears are now, it used to be, the ending used to be STEIN. That's what I remember it as a child. Now they saying it's STAIN. The map that I just talked about, some are even saying our physical inside shape of our body is different. Now they're saying that the heart is located in the center of the chest versus on the left side of the chest. So the Mandela Effect are different subtleties that you remember throughout growing up or whatever, but now society is saying it's straight up different. Now, and I see you 661, I'm coming to you. Now I'm going to share personal experience. Now I could be wrong, family. I swear I could be wrong. I don't think I'm wrong. I'm going to put it at 5,000 left shoes. I could be wrong with 5,000 left shoes. I cannot verify this. I went on my lunch hour to go get me a salad. I had not been over in this area in about 3-something months. So I goes get the little salad. Actually, it's been 6 months. Goes to get the little salad. Construction was still in the same place, and I'm thinking to myself, why the hell is construction here? They should have been done with this minor-ass construction. It's been 6 months. I'm like, okay, whatever, Rhonda. So I comes out the little salad place, and I'm at the light. No, I wasn't at the light. I was waiting to turn left. I look across, and I see this building. I said, wait a minute. That building was not that building. It was a car dealership. And it wasn't there before. So I looked, and I saw where, it wasn't new, that like it's always been there. Then I drove down the street, looked at another building, And it used to be something else, and now that name has changed. And I'm like, okay, what the hell is going on? So I could be wrong. Maybe I didn't have it right, but that was interesting. So that's another thing that people are experiencing with the Mandela effect. Also, things or buildings aren't where they're used to being, and when they research them, Google them, whatever, is saying that they always existed, and people are insisting on that's not the way they remember things. So let me bring 661 in. Okay, 661, your line is open.
Hello, family.
Greetings, beloved. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. This is Sandra. Now, I'm the Bible person here.
Okay.
And I went and I got my Bibles that I've had for years, and sure enough, it says wolf.
Okay, because see, I didn't even check that, sis. I said, I'm not going to check that. I'm going to let the family check that on the show, because I don't remember no damn wolf being associated with that. But I'm not real good with Bible verses like that, so I wasn't going to even try to verify that.
Well, I am. And I've been learning the Bible all my life, so I knew this is not what it said. So, is that for them to buy more time so they can stay on the planet longer and torment us? Does that
interesting? We're going to get into that, because that's what that could be a possible option. So that could also be what CERN is about. Mm-hmm. Them using that particular device to open up these portals to manipulate the ages to keep their raggedy ass in flight. And then the other thing is, like they mentioned in the video, was that we could have, in another realm, already went through a nuclear disaster. And then we moved to another realm.
Well, that would make sense as far as where we were on the Sagittarius arm you were talking about. Mm-hmm. But if we are the children of the Most High, the Anunnaki, we have a lot of copper in our head, in our hair. And so that the transmission from the Most High is still going to be the same. Maybe they may try to manipulate the world, they may manipulate our memory, but they can't manipulate 5777.
No.
Unless
no, they can't play with that.
And just tell the family, what's 5777? I know what you're saying. But I want the family
the change of Marduk ruling this planet.
Which is 2016, right?
Right. It's 2016, and it changed on October the 3rd. It's over for Marduk to rule. So do you think the Most High is so stupid that he doesn't know when Marduk is supposed to get off the throne?
Right. Like the creator of all, or the Most High, then set up and forget the rules that were instituted.
Exactly.
And that set up the way that the, we can't even say universe at this point, multiverse was set up. He didn't forget all that. She didn't forget all of that.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, I mean, you can change the scripts, but they can't change the melanin effect.
No, they cannot.
So they can change.
They cannot.
Mandela.
They can't change that black dot.
No, they can't change that black dot.
Exactly.
So they keep with it if they want to. And then again, a nuclear disaster has to be at certain places that was that disaster. So who was the disaster against?
Right.
Yeah.
Very good question.
Yeah.
Very good question. And we're going to get into a video, and maybe I'll do it now since you brought it up, where one brother, that's where I the other part of the title to the show was, have we already experienced the death? Because one brother, his take on things are that we've already gone through one disaster, and that millions of people have they didn't make it with us into this new realm. Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're going to terminate the planet, people, blue useless eaters, why would they save us with the Mandela effect?
Well, my take on it is, number one, I don't think that they have that type of control to eliminate a mass population like they think they can. Because let's say, I'll put it like this. Let's say that they set something off and we all were destroyed from a nuclear disaster in 2012. Let's say the whole Mayan calendar ending, because that's what the whole 2012 stuff was about. From the Mayan calendar perspective, the calendar stopped, and then other people said that we were moving into a new age, which is why the Mayan calendar stopped. So let's say that all of that happened, but in addition to that, they funky asses set off something nuclear to wipe folk out. Well, when you are 9 ether, you can't be destroyed, right?
Right.
So, okay, so you call yourself on the straight kill me, so then either we already existed in another universe, or we just transposed to another universe. So the parallel universes actually have a couple of little options, and I thought they were fascinating, and we're going to go over that tonight too. It was a really, really, really good clip I want to share with the family, because from this point on, after listening to a snippet of this clip, you'll understand all the different theories and versions there are to parallel universes. But the one of the options says that there is a carbon, notice that word carbon,
right?
Carbon copy of everything. So meaning we have Earth.
A doppelganger.
Yes, there you go. That term, there you go. So that means even we exist in that other copy. But except that copy cannot be, quote, quote, seen. So now that would explain the Mandela effect perfectly. Okay, because there may be a little bit of glitches here and there in that copy. That's one of the theories of parallel universes. The second theory is there are multiverses.
Right.
So meaning that each universe kind of exists in all of these bubbles.
The 9 levels.
Exactly.
I heard about that one.
Okay, so within those bubbles, there could be copies of the different universes. And in this particular theory, they're saying that you could or could not exist in all of those bubbles. And then I put the question, does this mean, or is how we've been incarnating or reincarnating? Or does this also mean how the Earth could keep having these catastrophes or being destroyed, and then we just go to one of the other multiverses? So that's the other theory. That's the second theory. So we had a first theory is the carbon copy, one copy of everything, and then the second theory is multiverse versus several copies of everything. Mm-hmm. And then you have another theory called string theory or the membrane theory.
I heard about
and that's particles are strings that vibrate. Mm-hmm. So everything happens on a vibration rate. And with this theory, now this straight blew my wig back, because I had heard a string theory before. Now, all of what I'm mentioning to you now, mainstream science, they're calling this quantum physics. Us, we know it as metaphysics because our master teachers have taught this stuff for years. But anyhow, this particular string theory or meta theory is based on vibration rates. They said that universes exist in 11 dimensions.
Yeah, or more.
Or more. Now, we know that the number 11 represents manifestation.
Right.
Okay, so I found that very interesting that now quantum physics, which is now mainstream science, are now saying that there's a theory out there that we have 11 dimensions, and they're saying that with this particular theory that you can travel to those dimensions you can interdimensionally travel with your thought. So the M theory or string theory, M for membrane, represents the brain. So I found that fascinating because our master teachers have taught us, and those of us that meditate, you know when you're meditating, when you're leaving this realm.
Right.
You know it.
Mm-hmm.
So I find that interesting, and now they want to come out and admit that with that theory. That's the string theory. The other, sorry, go ahead, sis.
I'm sorry. That's kind of like remote viewing.
Yeah.
Or I saw a video of this guy, and he's this smart guy, you know, with high intelligence, and they were using him in some kind of experiments and Navy stuff, and he could remote view to other planets and see them talking and be there with them and all this kind of stuff, because that's what he was talking about. And it was about a 2-hour-long video, and I was watching it and listening to him. So, yeah, that may be true that they can do that. But I yield on that one so you can finish what you were saying.
Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Wendell.
I want to give y'all a good refresher. Go back and look at something.
Okay.
Go back and watch Lucy.
Okay. You got to give it to us, though, because that was a badass movie. But go on and give us.
You got to remember, at the end of that movie, they asked, well, where did she go? Hell, she everywhere.
Sure did. And then at the end, she turned into like the black goo.
Well, yeah, that was before she became everything.
That's true.
See what she was doing when she got to that stage is she was transferring all that information over and leaving it because she was going everywhere. And she connected to the computer and ended up turning the information into a flash drive, a long flash drive. Then she went everywhere. Because they asked, where did she go? Well, she's everywhere. Because she was communicating with them through the telephone.
True that. Now, that's interesting. Now that you done brought up Lucy, which was a badass movie, family. I enjoyed that. That's another one I'm going to have to go back on my list and look at again. Now, some say Lucy stood for Lucifer, which could mean the dark one or it could mean the evil one. But make no mistake about it, Lucy, even Caucasian folks came out and said, look, stop playing with us, Hollywood. You know doggone well that Lucy was a black, I'm going to say melanated woman. Stop playing. So make no mistake about it, Lucy represented a melanated woman because Lucy, the code name, is also what they link the oldest being on this planet whose remains, that they dug up. So make no mistake.
Lucy was the monkey half experimental person they used to say this is the origin of man.
Interesting. Now, I had never heard that before. Interesting.
They had bones and stuff, and they found out all that was a hoax back in the day, that was the origin of man. And they were doing dinosaur bones and dispelling whether there was dinosaurs or not dinosaurs and all this kind of stuff. And they found in Gladstone, Texas, I think that's the name of the place, where the dinosaurs and men walked together.
Yes, because they were trying to say the dinosaurs were here and man wasn't.
Well, they were saying also the dinosaurs didn't exist when I was a kid. I remember.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They tripping.
I know. They said
wow. That's interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, that's why Lucy came into the picture as far as whether that was the oldest being or not on this planet. And they had court cases about that.
Wow. So they always calling themselves trying to alter the story, but as you know, Brother Horace so eloquently put it, rocks cry out.
Exactly. Just like that dinosaur footprint was in that clay, in that riverbed in Gladstone, I think it was Gladstone, Texas, and that man's footprint was there with it, because I was a geology major too, and the metal hammer was back in that day too. And of course they said metal wasn't until some centuries before and all this kind of stuff, and they found layers of fossils in the rocks as they went up. So it was interesting, all the things that they said wasn't true when I was a kid, to now they're saying, oh, without a doubt. And I'm like, when did all that happen?
So great example on how they alter stuff.
Yeah, they've been tampering then.
Wow. Well, okay, so the final theory out of this particular video that I'm going to share with the family is the third theory is there are multiple copies of yourself in the same space and time, but there are different outcomes in different realms. So that one really kind of messed with my mind.
Yeah, that was
how, you know, you could be basically like in the same space and time, but there's another you simultaneously on the other side, per se, and you could be experiencing different things.
Such as the guy getting the girl at one point, and then the guy don't get the girl at the same at another point, but it's the same girl and the same guy.
Yes, and though like our brother Tim, who was on earlier, talked about Fringe. That's why I'm recommending that the family check out that series Fringe.
Yeah,
because Fringe was tight, because Fringe dealt with that. Yeah. It dealt with that where they would the main characters would go to the different realms, and then their particular characters was just on a totally different journey. Totally different journey. And then sometimes they swapped particular the different realms. So that particular one made me think about Fringe as well.
So that's bending time is what they're doing. They can't change it, but they're bending it. It's that Philadelphia experiment that they bent the time, but they really couldn't change the time. Now they got experiments now where they're talking about beaming people up in particles to different areas. Yes.
So something is definitely going on with CERN. I believe that's what they're trying to do, to manipulate different outcomes. So their backup plan is to try to take their raggedy asses to Mars. So that's what all of this Mars exploration is about, because something has happened where and not something, we know what that something is, that we move to a new age.
Right.
And I believe, as I discussed before, that we either left the old planet where we were on a little Sagittarius arm and went to the new planet, which was now like right across from that in the Orion constellation, or close to the Orion constellation, or the planet transcended over there. So something is happening because we are going into the different age, that if their vibration rate can't handle it, they ass is finna be trapped.
Let me ask you.
Go ahead, sis.
Have you seen there's less blondes in the world? Have you seen there's less blondes in the world?
Yeah.
Ooh, now y'all sitting up starting something. I haven't noticed, to be honest. I haven't noticed.
It's hard to find one.
It is hard to find a blonde.
Yeah.
Unless
a natural blonde, anyway.
Yeah. It's all bleached, pretty much. But there's few blondes I see, because in Moorish stuff, they were talking about that if you have dark hair, you're not considered a European.
Right, because that's the melanin.
It's a blonde hair and blue eyes. So I went out one day and I started looking at the people's hair.
Now that you put it that way, you're correct. That's deep.
That they've been being taken off. And
now that goes back to what we said earlier when we were talking about a nuclear disaster happening, and some folk didn't make it.
That's true. Very few blondes on TV.
And that also could be code getting folks prepared that the particular planet will change on the way folks look. And so this is not particularly being racist. It's just the reality of the fact, because we do know that the less melanin you have in your skin, and having that blonde hair and them blue eyes represents a very low melanin content, that you would not be able to survive a high UV ray content.
Right.
And anybody that's been, now let's talk about that. Damn, y'all, this is getting deeper and deeper the more we talk. And I see you, 215. I'm coming to you, sweetie. The sun is hot than a mug, y'all. It's hot than an MF. I don't remember the sun being that hot, and I love to sit out in the sun and get my little tan on. And it's hot now. I don't care if it's fall. I don't give a damn if it's winter. The sun ain't playing. So that's telling you that the particular planet or realm is changing. And if you do not have enough melanin to protect you, I don't know how you're going to survive.
That's weird.
Which is sad, because we knew that the prophecy stated that Nibiru was coming back into our orbit. It was bringing its own set of solar systems with its own suns, this, that, and the third. The planet was going to heat up. So that means that the Caucasians that knew this information knew that they needed to be blending back in with the melanated blood so they could be able to survive.
Exactly.
But they chose not to do that. They did the opposite. They wanted to, quote, quote, keep their bloodline pure, but left them unprotected from having the right amount of melanin. So that's very interesting.
I got a question to that thought that people have. How are you gonna keep a bloodline pure when you're a derivative of the original bloodline?
Well, it's interesting you said that, because I was having a conversation earlier, and I was like, well, that their particular bloodline is a derivative off of our bloodline. That's why they call us the carbon, and they are carbon-based, two different things. But they don't know that. If you're being programmed to say you're superior, that's what white supremacy is built on, then in your eyesight, marrying Caucasians, having Caucasian children, you think that you're keeping your bloodline pure, but yet and still you go outside, you got to have all this damn suntan lotion, this, that, and the third. So let me bring on 215. Sis, I'm going to leave your line open as well. So let me bring on 215. 215, your line is open.
Hi, greetings. It's Lioness, y'all.
Oh, greetings,
Hey, Lioness.
Yay! Good to hear from you, sis.
Oh, thanks. Again, the conversation is beautiful. It's right on time. I touched upon this last night and over the weekend, last weekend. It's all building to a crescendo. Everybody, Sandra, maybe we're about the same age or whatever, because almost everything you were saying I learned way back then, but I did learn about the dinosaurs. What was starting in school was you could draw the pictures, because I had everybody in my classes, all different types. And the young Jewish boys and girls, so-called Jewish boys and girls. And then some of the other ones who were some of these leaders that you have heard about, their children, they would go in corners and, right? And 2-3 of the teachers would cross out what I would put down, and then I would go back to my mom and dad, and my father would tell me, okay, do that for them, but you can go back up there and you could tell them that they do exist. And he had an old dictionary, German. And within there was all sorts of things, and you can get a PhD from that gigantic book, which was done back then and before then and before then. So what I'm saying is there are boundless universes that go into the cosmos. One cosmos, boundless universes, many, many galaxies within each universe, many, many solar systems, and whatever other kind of bodies within those galaxies, and down and down and down and down, okay? There's a young man, he's called the Light, L-I-G-H-T, Guru, G-U-R-U. On one of the things that I did, I guess about 2 months ago, I played his little clip. Sometimes they have young ladies, sometimes they have young men. But he very well, simply, better than what I would have done, because sometimes I get too intricate. So he did it very well to explain about the fractals. Now, if you put the cosmos, the boundless universes, and the fact that you do, because of probability and possibilities, you exist everywhere. And you are, because this is what you're going to find out. This is part of the announcements and the disclosures to come, so that people go back and find out who and what they are, and have always been. Albeit you play it out differently in each addressing scheme. That's why I'm going to say the computer is so good, but it's really not.
Girl, tell it.
Coming from that area that I put out there, the 1113 addressing, but the CERN and all of this, I'm trying to net it down, but I'm so glad that each of you are participating, putting it together to bake this cake, because you're all correct. You just have to put it all together, and then there's some more for you to learn. But relearn, because you know it all. Each of us has it. Each of us has it, okay?
That's right.
It's all complementary and connecting and correlating it all together, so that all of the possibilities. And, again, there was a piece, very simple, that it did last night. It's that, hey, if anything that you thought of, anything that you desired at some place, somewhere within the cosmos, you do that. You have that. One of the examples was, in one place you might be married, another place you may not have been married, another place you might have had 12 children and widowed. All the possibilities, and there's a difference between probability and possibility. So yes, they were trying to change where the addressing scheme would be. Retarded, because they can't think like you. I have to tell Basisi sometimes, don't think like these people. Don't think they think like you, because they do not.
Right.
And therefore, you can't get upset at them. You can get excited and all, because we're at the end. It's just moments away.
We're at the end.
Just moments away. That's why this Mandela effect, effect and affect, two different things, but highly related. Your boy Marduk Wendell was at Mandela's funeral. But it's bigger than that, because it's not
bigger.
just the Anunnaki. I have to say it the way, you know. Anyway, it's there's many other people, and Mushaba people. There's so many different things, and it's all going to come out because of, not only of the fractals, but as you said, the frequencies, the vibrations, it's all of those things, and what was thought of in the beginning, but yet and still there's still only one being played out. But they can't be us, and none of us should want to be them. Don't be anybody else. That's the main thing, too.
Absolutely.
Be yourself. Love yourself. They can't deal with love because the different iterations of them, like Lucy. Lucy was what they said. It just didn't go far enough, because she was to that point with Inanna and Ningersad and the other people and all of these names that still have to be lines and titles, and who was really Abraham and who is the two Melchizedek or more than two Melchizedeks. It's all so vast, but it's also wonderful. And I just have to do like what was told to me last night that I could say. To each and every one of you, because it was also an experiment that had to happen to bring about the duality, to get all the dross and the BS out, and then come together again as we will, where there will be no duality, but you, this crop, this harvest, that's why it has to be at this time. And for Sandra, I'm so glad you're on it with the 577, because the harvest that's coming from there, yes, we're that cadre to do this, to teach the other ones, and those that don't want to do this time, because they do have something like free will, because there are other options, but they're going to come home soon at some point, whether that's another million, billion, trillion years or whatever. But we go back and do this as the universe that is full of love again. And you are who they said that they were, and who people looked up to them to be gods and things like that, or equivalent to that name. That's who we are. And that's where we're returning, and everybody else is here. They're standing, waiting to just come in, tell you the rest of the story for those who haven't woken up all the way. And we had to go into amnesia to get through all the shit that there was to bring it back up again to the highest, most beautiful thing and us that has ever been. And Mother is waiting to hug every last one of y'all and us. So I sent you another thing, but it's all there. Mansa Musa, together, all of us. You're going to see everybody because you were them. Secret Places of the Lion. The Goodly crew came down here over and over and over again, but now we get to go all the way back home where you first came from. So thank you.
Wow. Wow. Thank you, Sis Lioness. Thank you. Love you, sis.
Love you too, everybody.
Wow. Well, sis, she pretty much
a whole lot of it.
I know. She summed that up. She summed that up very, very, very well, and I kind of teared up when she said, that you'll all be going back to where you started. And what a beautiful thing. And, she said that we had to go through this to clean up a lot of things, which that makes sense to me as well. So we're in very interesting age right now, and supposedly that this has never been done before. So this is going to be very, very interesting. Now, another thing before I forget, there is one more theory, the final theory of parallel universes that they discuss, and I know Sis Lioness will know where I'm going with this. I linked this back to the El Holy Tablets, where Dr. York put in there is that that there are only gases and pure energy. There are no planets, that it was formed via ether. Okay, so that's the concept of energy can never be destroyed. Okay, so that is their final theory. So before we go in the clip, we do have another caller. Let me bring them in. Let me open up their line. Anonymous, your line is open.
Good evening, Miss Rhonda and Brother Wendell.
Greetings, beloved.
Greetings. Miss Rhonda, your show from last week, you had a clip that you played, Professor Black Trooper. And, I was trying to find that on the internet, on YouTube, and I was unable to find it, and I was wondering, could you give me some more clear information on the wording on there, the real reason why the British...
Oh, yeah. Let me go. I don't think I deleted that clip yet. Let me see if I can find the exact name. It's called Professor Black Truth.
Yeah.
The real reason why Bree exit happened.
Right. Okay, that's what I took and went in and Google up on YouTube, but I couldn't find this specific recording.
Okay, now usually, let me just do a quick check, because in order for me to play it on the show, I always have to pull it down and convert it into an MP3 file. So let me see if it's still out here real quick, because sometimes they'll yank stuff down.
Okay.
But let me just see right quick if it's out there, Black Truth. Okay, so did you at least get to his YouTube channel?
I got to the YouTube channel, and there were other sites on there, but it was nothing compared to, you know, what you played here.
Okay, yeah, I'm on his YouTube channel right now. They must have pulled it. Yeah, I guess it was pulled for whatever reason. He either pulled it or they pulled it, but it's not here. So you're not going crazy.
That's that Mandela. Hey, that ain't that Mandela effect.
Yeah, unless it's that Mandela effect. But no, because I still do physically have the file in my show material. So he must have pulled it or they pulled it. So you're not going crazy. It's not out there anymore.
Okay. And that was my question, you know, but I'm listening. I'm sitting back listening and observing everything going on. And, you know, and I'm right in check. So I'm on track.
Oh, okay, beloved. Okay, peace and love, brother. Okay.
Family.
Okay. All right, family. So what we're going to do is about 15 minutes after, I do want to play this clip for you because all that we went over with the different theories of parallel universes, this particular clip deals, it goes into a lot more detail. Now, for those of you who either go to sleep or whatever the case may be, go on and get you some snacks, get your beverages and all of that, because this is going to be about 21 minutes, and it's from the YouTube channel Insomnia Team, the best parallel universal documentary. So it'll be about 21 minutes long. It's definitely going to be worth it because it'll go into all of the options that we talked about. It'll give a little bit more detail, and it hit on a lot of what Sis Lioness said as well. So here we go, family. Okay, so Sis Sandra, I'm going to mute you, beloved, but I'll unmute you when we come back in case you want to re-put something on it since we talked about this, okay? Okay, here we go, family.
In the beginning, there was darkness, and then, bang, giving birth to an endless expanding existence of time, space, and matter. Now see further than we've ever imagined, beyond the limits of our existence, in a place we call the universe. Remarkably, there may be 4 types of parallel universe out there. One kind could exist in the same exact space we're in, but it is so far away we cannot see it or reach it. In another scenario, multiple other universes could be in giant cosmic soap bubbles, adrift in a cosmic sea of giant bubbles.
Revolutionary developments have changed the entire landscape. Data from outer space have given us a new look at cosmology, and satellite data indicates there could be parallel universes.
In yet another scenario, many parallel universes occupy the same space and time as our universe. But because they are in different dimensions, they are invisible. In yet another, all the laws of physics are different, so everything looks completely different.
New theories called string theories are giving us worlds of higher dimension. Quantum physics at the microscopic scale is also revealing to us the fact there could be parallel universes.
To keep things simple, physicists have divided parallel universes into different levels. Meet the level 1 parallel universe. According to physicists, the level 1 parallel universe is just an extension of our own universe.
Now that's the kind of universe which is really sort of part of our space, of our giant space, but it's so far away that we can't see it.
The level 1 parallel universe is based on the idea that the universe is infinite in size. If true, just by the sheer mathematical odds, there must be out there in endless space an exact copy of the solar system, the Earth, and all the people on it. If you're planning a trip, the closest level 1 parallel universe is really incredibly far away.
Crudely speaking, you have to go a Googleplex yards, where a Google is one with 100 zeros after it, and a Googleplex is one with a Google zeros. So it's an awfully long way, farther than we can see.
Those universes are so far away that light hasn't reached us.
But is our universe really infinite? A new theory called cosmic inflation suggests that it is.
We think that it was born in a very, very small state, and then there was a kind of a weird energy that pushed it apart by a tremendous amount. It just went whoosh.
Inflation accounts for how our universe suddenly and massively grew after its inception.
The best theory we have right now for what made space so big, the theory of inflation, says, in fact, that space isn't just big or huge, that it's really infinite. It goes on forever, which means that there aren't just 1, 2, 3, but infinitely many other regions of space, just as big as our universe. Even the universe that we know is mind-blowingly big. When we fly around in intergalactic space like this, every little blob you see here can contain a galaxy, which in turn might contain hundreds of billions of stars with solar systems around them, and so on.
So there's just this enormous number of other spaces out there that we can't see.
And there is more.
We actually think that there's a gigantic number, perhaps even an infinite number, of level 1 universes.
This radical idea is leading to a completely new definition of the cosmos.
We used to say universe, uni meaning one, a one-world theory. Everything there is, everything we can see is the universe. But now we have a multiverse idea, where there are unseen worlds, worlds that we cannot see, worlds that we cannot touch.
If this wild theory is correct, the consequences are sensational.
Within this infinite universe, you might have other copies of the solar system, of planet Earth.
And this is the real shocker.
Then there's a copy of me and you and everyone else out there somewhere.
And that's not all. There are an infinite number of other universes and other Earths, and infinite copies of each one of us. If true, then every possible outcome for every life has to happen. In some universes, in what some now call the multiverse, one leads exactly the same life. But in others, things can be slightly different.
You didn't get that parking ticket that irked you so much. Or you unfortunately never met your wife.
Anything that is physically possible actually does occur in some other parallel universe.
It means that in one universe, Elvis Presley is still alive.
In a different level 1 universe, George W. Bush is baseball commissioner.
Or perhaps we don't exist at all in some of these universes. The implications are staggering.
And if the universe is infinite and there really are all these level 1 universes in the infinite multiverse, all those other possibilities did somewhere happen.
Technically, there are a couple of ways mathematically for the universe to be truly infinite. But essentially, it must be shown to be flat.
The universe seems to be perfectly flat, which means either the universe is flat or is curved so slightly that we can't see it.
In this case, the universe would eventually curve back in on itself and form a hypersphere. It would then be finite in size and volume, and not flat and infinite. Another way to look at this is that the universe may have inflated so quickly and so enormously that it only looks flat.
Think of a bug walking on a gigantic balloon. The larger the balloon, the flatter things get. The bug walks in any direction, and the bug says, well, the universe seems perfectly flat to me. But from a distance, we see that the bug is walking on a gigantic balloon.
But now an amazing new tool, the Wilkinson Microwave Anisotropy Probe, or WMAP, is changing everything. Some say the remarkable images reveal the true shape of the universe.
What we have here are baby pictures of the universe, what it looked like when it was only 400,000 years old. We're looking so far back in time that the galaxies hadn't even formed yet. We just had this dead, infused gas, which gradually over time clumped into galaxies, stars, planets.
The WMAP is catching the very earliest signs of creation. Officially, it is tasked with measuring radiation left over from the Big Bang. But now, some scientists have devised an experiment to calculate the overall shape of the universe.
If I send light rays through space and make a gigantic triangle, going from us here out to the farthest edges of what we can see, and then back, the angles of that triangle should add up to exactly 180 degrees.
If the universe is curved like a balloon, the angles of the giant triangle would add up to more than 180 degrees. To find out if the universe is flat or curved, they shot laser beams deep into space and made a giant light triangle.
Now we can tell, and the measurement is in, and the answer is it works beautifully. Angles add up to exactly 180 degrees. But the universe is flat.
The WMAP seems to show that the universe is flat. For some, however, the jury is still out on the flat universe question.
I tend to think that the universe is, in fact, a soap bubble of some sort, but it is bent so slightly that we can't see it.
Some experts say that there are other, even more mind-boggling kinds of parallel universes out there. A level 2 type parallel universe made up of giant cosmic soap bubbles that float in hyperspace. Each independent bubble has within it an entire universe. The question is, do we all really live in a giant cosmic bubble? Could our universe be just one mega bubble in a cosmic crowd of mega bubbles? If the sensational level 2 type parallel universe idea is right, then the true nature of the cosmos could be even more astonishing than ever imagined. The amazing concept is that in the instance of creation, our universe rapidly, suddenly, and massively inflated, creating a giant cosmic soap bubble. Our unique universe floats in a seething sea of other super bubbles, where bubbles can clash and spawn baby brother and sister universes.
It's happening all the time. Universes are inflating, popping out, and then blowing up to these huge sizes of universes.
The medium these level 2 bubbles are floating in is what some call the bulk, and others call hyperspace.
In this new paradigm, soap bubbles can form, reform, they can split. It's dynamic. Universes being created out of nothing, universes budding off other universes.
Altogether, these bubbles form the level 2 type parallel universe. And within it, there are an infinite number of level 1 type parallel universes.
The level 1 and level 2 universes are all in our same one space. There's only one space. And then there are these different regions which we call level 1 and level 2 parallel universes.
A flyby through the level 2 parallel universe, or what some also call the multiverse, would be a terrifying and spectacular experience.
A multiverse of universes, each one popping into existence, popping out of existence, perhaps colliding with each other.
Out of calamity comes existence.
What we call the level 2 multiverse is really best thought of as a tree or a fractal structure where you have a region of space expanding like crazy and sprouting off other regions which then expand and sprouting off other regions.
And other ones can bud off of that. So you can get this chaotic, eternally branching set of universes budding off from their predecessors. An infinite set of universes in this multiverse.
The big term for this monumental process is bubble nucleation.
Yeah, bubble nucleation is the geek speak phrase for the process where you have this inflating, strange material, and then a little piece of it stops inflating and causes a bubble-shaped region expanding around it to also stop inflating, and then you create in this bubble a nice, calm region of space where you will eventually form galaxies, stars, planets, and even people like us. So we are the children of the bubble.
For the first time in human history, children of the bubble are peering out and seeing on the horizon parallel universes. Determined physicists believe they are now on the brink of uncovering the ultimate mysteries of the universe.
Why look for these parallel universes that we can't touch? Because they hold the secret of secrets. They hold the secret of the origin of everything there is. For the first time, we can imagine where our universe itself came from. Perhaps when our universe popped into existence, colliding with another parallel universe, perhaps budding from another universe, these are the stuff of modern research today, pre-Big Bang physics. Physics before Genesis.
But there is a problem. For decades, scientists have been searching for one cohesive theory of everything. One to unite Einstein's theory of general relativity, which explains how gravity works over large scales, with quantum physics, the science of the tiniest matter. Together, these two great theories explain everything humanity knows so far about the cosmos. But like a cartoon cat and mouse,
they are at war with one another.
These two theories hate each other.
They're completely inconsistent, incompatible. No way to understand, in today's world, a quantum version of general relativity.
How can we get a shotgun marriage between these two theories that don't like each other?
Bringing those together would give you a theory of everything in the sense that those are the ingredients you would need, I think, to understand the Big Bang, to understand the origin of the universe.
When in the 1980s, scientists came up with a lyrical-sounding idea, string theory, it promised to solve all the mysteries of the universe, including whether or not parallel universes are real. The idea is that all particles are not solid points or dots as science said they were. Instead, if you could see up close, particles are in fact tiny string-like objects that individually vibrate in various ways.
String theory starts out by taking the idea of a string which vibrates, giving rise to different particles, and doing physics with that. That's rather musical in a way. It's like using guitar and bass in a band to generate different notes from vibrations of strings.
As scientists explored string theory more closely, they made a remarkable discovery.
We found that it wasn't just strings that were involved in the physics, but also membranes and other extended objects which could vibrate. And that's rather like enlarging the band to have drums and other instruments, which enrich the sound and really broaden the repertoire of things that could be played.
String theory has now evolved into what is called M, or membrane theory.
So now we realize that the particles we see in nature, the universe itself, consists of vibrating membranes and vibrating strings.
The crowning achievement of M theory came when scientists realized that to make sense of everything, you need to think of the universe as existing in 11 dimensions.
If you're sitting on a mountaintop and you look down, you can see all the separate little villages that are not unified at all. But from a mountaintop, you look at a coherent, whole, beautiful picture. And that's M theory.
M theory explains how the tiniest as well as the biggest things in the cosmos work. It also proposes that we all live on a giant and energetic membrane. Our universe is tethered to this wall by invisible extra dimensions. To make matters crazier, M theory proposes that 6 or 7 of these dimensions, the extra ones we don't sense every day, are tiny and right in front of your nose.
At every point of any one of these people walking by, you pick a point. At that point, there will be an incredibly tiny, curled up, either 6 or 7 dimensions that you just don't perceive.
These membranes are also very close to each other.
You could have one of these membranes being a universe, and then moving sideways, you have another membrane being a separate universe, and they may be just a millimeter or 2 away.
The giant walls of energetic matter float side by side, like humongous sheets in the bulk or in hyperspace. An entire universe may be attached to a brain, or a universe can occupy the whole of another one. Our own universe sits on the skin of one of these giant brains that in turn is adrift in the cosmic sea of space.
And it's floating around in a bigger structure called the bulk. Our three-dimensional universe is like a membrane floating around within this larger structure.
Believing that invisible extra dimensions that, like an umbilical cord, connect us to a hyper or bulk space where giant membranes live, demands a huge leap of faith. Where are these membranes that we're stuck to? And why can't we see these extra dimensions that connect us?
I'm floating around here on this kayak on the surface of the ocean. And you can think of this as a 2-dimensional surface. But below me, there's a whole other dimension. There's the down dimension where all the fish live. You can think of that as the bulk. I'm on a membrane floating around, and the bulk is the other dimension. The fish down below the surface of the water are in a different dimension than I am. They don't even know that I'm here unless I happen to splash around and hit one on the head or something like that. So they might be completely oblivious to my existence, and I could be oblivious to their existence because we're in different dimensions.
But can a fleeting thought send you into an extra dimension and onto a parallel universe?
All right, family. So that particular clip, I know it was long. Let me bring back Brother Wendell. There he is. I had to mute him out. Okay, Brother Wendell. So let me give you the name of that clip because it's actually 41 minutes, but the name of it is off of the YouTube channel Insomnia Team, the Best Parallel Universe Documentary. So I'm going to open back up Sis Sandra in case she wants to put something on it. And so Sis Lioness, because Sis Lioness emailed me and she brought up a excellent point. So just hit me back up, Sis, if you want to come back on and explain it. But she says Dr. Ayebo is the one Goggett, not Einstein. All theories, string theory, but more, and the wonders of the pineal gland. We all live in a yellow submarine. So that was interesting. Now, when Sis Lioness was on breaking it down before, the thought that I wanted to get out, but I forgot, when she talked about the addresses and how they're trying to change the address. And I automatically thought about IP addresses, what Brother Wendell and I were talking about earlier, and how we talked about Lucy, because it is said that our universe is made up of a code, okay, a mathematic code. So not only do we have the vibrations going on, but all vibrations have a mathematic number assigned to it. And so how does it go? They say that the sound can be translated into numbers, which can be translated into shapes, which can create the matter. And so those particular sounds or vibrations, which can be turned into the mathematic codes, somebody had to code all of that stuff, someone or something. So that's where you hear the term of us living in the Matrix, and that's also part of the movie The Matrix that we talked about earlier. That whole entire movie, the premise was the different codes and how the gatekeeper has the keys to the different codes, which literally translated into the different dimensions. So I'll yield, Brother Wendell, in case you want to put something on it. And family, if you want to join the conversation, just press *6 to get in the queue. Okay, Brother Wendell.
Yeah. I don't know how many of the listeners or callers are familiar with Brother Sylvester James Gates. This brother found code in string theory.
Really? Let me write a dude's name down. Brother Sylvester Gates.
Yeah, Sylvester James Gates. You can go on YouTube and put in James Gates computer code, and all his stuff will pop up.
Okay. Okay, I'll do a little research on that.
The brother's off the chain.
Okay.
He's off the chain.
Very, very interesting. So there you have it, family. We went into what the Mandela Effect is, how that ties into the parallel universes. We also discussed that how we could have already experienced a death, or some say that we have yet to, quote, quote, experience a death, and that's kind of also referring to what Sis Lioness was talking about when we refer to the harvesting. And that's basically taking the returned ancestors back to the origins, to where we came, and those that aren't awake, once the disclosure, quote, quote, happens, all of this information will be revealed to wake the rest of the family up as well. So unless anyone else has anything they want to put on it, press *6 to get in the queue. That's pretty much all I have. Go ahead on, Sis.
Hey, Ron, I want to ask the caller to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Go check out Brother Gates, and I got a question I want to ask y'all next.
Yeah, we're going to continue next week. We're going to put a spin on it next week and talk about the matrix and computer code of the universe. So we're going to get into Brother Gates next week.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to say that they seem to have gotten back to the linear concept of time instead of the pi or the black dot, where everything is on a timeline continuum, where time does not run linear, but it goes back on itself. And so with their theory, they are leaving out that we are on a timeline continuum because they're using light as a measuring tool,
right,
to figure out the refractory time it gets to one point to the other, and that's kind of like, that's old school, really.
Right, it's inaccurate because we know what travels the fastest that we know of.
Thoughts.
There you go. Thought, consciousness. That'll beat light every time. So, yeah, I thought that was interesting that they used that light theory, and I guess in their little defense, just a little bit in their defense. Then I see you, Brother Tim. I'm going to bring you on in a second. In their defense a little bit, I guess they were saying that they shine the laser to kind of prove whether or not the universe curved. Now, you know that's what they say. But my point is, okay, so now you claim that you did that. So that's telling me if you can take a laser and supposedly and allegedly put it out there far enough to see whether or not that light curves, you trying to sit up here and tell me you can't touch the planet that's 4.22 years from us? They just be lying, but anyhow, but your point is well taken, sis.
Well, you know, I'm like, okay, so you're trying to get away from your Big Bang, but you're going back to linear, so okay, that don't work.
Yeah, but, and then too, either they don't know, which at this point I don't believe that's not the case. The other part is then they will have to admit that carbon melanin element of it.
That's the conduit, and they don't want to do
exactly. And they don't want to admit that. They will throw it out there when you hear the term black matter. And carbon, always know that that means melanin. But in this particular clip, they did not say that because they're not ready to admit it. But I like that clip because it explained the different theories. So, all right, let me bring Brother Tim in, and then we also have 832. So let me bring Brother Tim back in. Okay, Brother Tim, your line is open.
You sure? I think you unmuted me, but I did have a question. I did have a comment.
Sure thing. Go ahead.
All right. The brother that called in before you played the clip said he couldn't find that video or the YouTube that you said was out there from last week. I did pull it up, so it still is out there.
Okay.
Just let him know it's still out there, and I got it right on my phone now.
Okay, so you heard that, brother. I still see him out there, so you just have to dig a little deep, because I did a quick search on the channel, and I didn't see it.
Yeah, Professor, make sure you put in Black Truth, all one word.
Yeah, because I went on his actual page, and I didn't see it, so you just have to dig and look for it, brother.
Yeah.
All right.
That was it.
Okay, cool. All right, cool,
off to my
brother.
other dimension.
Okay. All right. Don't slip into your Mandela Effect. Okay, hold on. Peace and love, brother. So let's bring on 832. Okay, 832, your line is open.
Love, peace, truth, freedom, and justice. Good evening, my great sister.
Greetings, beloved.
The Oracle Wendell.
Yeah, that's cousin Bumpkin one there. I don't know about
Well, because y'all, I see you dig to Hootie back up. You're the elder.
Yeah, Oracle
Tahuti
he was supposed to come tonight, so something must have came up. So because he was had did his research and everything, so he'll be back.
That paper, as Severe says, he's chasing cotton. We used to pick cotton, now we're chasing cotton.
Oh boy!
You know, before I come up, because you're up my alley there, being a Trekkie and a sci-fi nerd, but before I make my comments, I'm going to put it in this context. Is not all this stuff, and I thank you, sister, for sharing it, but is not all this stuff in this range of thought Jesuit-inspired, Roman, Vatican-authorized science? Technically?
I would say yes and no.
I mean, whenever time you say it's European context, you have any kind of European context.
I would say yes and no, because originally they weren't even dropping this stuff, okay? They strictly went by the quote Einstein theory. And so, but we know
which again was instituted by Jesuit thought.
I get that.
Jesuit thought and the initiation of so-called scientific truth. Now, did you
I get that.
seen the
but
Cosmos series with Neil deGrasse Tyson?
Yeah, he's watering stuff down to me. But my point being, when they went to quantum physics, when they started quantum physics, that equaled their version of metaphysics. So all they're really doing with all of these concepts, like Sis Lioness emailed me, and she told us where Einstein was even getting his theories from, but they were watering everything down. We know that they're taking it from our master teachers. So, yes, it is Vatican control because they are still controlling the information that's coming out. But even the information that's coming out, they stole the shit from us.
Well, that's kind of like a circular argument. So here's what I wanted to point out. I'll throw a couple of more movie or TV versions on you. Quantum Leap. Remember that one?
I remember that one.
But that was where he was supposedly time traveling and inhabiting people's bodies. So you couldn't tell it was him because he was actually another person back in time until he looked in the mirror and he saw himself in that person's presence. The One. Jet Li, Delroy Lindo, Jason Statham. I know Lindell knows what I'm talking about because I know you're a kung fu master. right, brother?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That is the only movie, except maybe one other I can't think right now, but that's the only movie, Rhonda, that used the term multiverse with a police force. You never seen that one?
I don't remember seeing that one.
Well, the topic or the plot behind the story was Jet Li's character was killing himself over and over again in all these alternate universes, right, Wendell?
What?
Yeah, he had killed himself 125 times, or it was 124 times, because he was trying to get the hero protagonist, Jet Li, that is in this current multiverse, or version of multiverse. And when he kills him, he will be the one.
Whoa,
meaning he had taken,
I'm going to check
I don't know if you want to consider it as this cosmic energy, or I guess, Wendell, would it be as Akashic? The Akashic records?
Yeah.
Each and every one of the copies of himself in the multi-universe, or the multiverse, where he absorbed the power and it made him faster, stronger, you know, a lot of other things of that nature. That's an interesting sci-fi flick.
That's interesting, and I like how you brought in the concept of the Akashic records, because it is said that is actually what we're going through now in this particular age, where those of us that are awakened and we're gaining more and more knowledge and it's getting a lot deeper to us, is that all we're actually doing is accessing our Akashic records. So that's interesting.
The premise of the story, well, Delroy Lindo was the cop, the hero cop, kind of like Danny Glover's character in Lethal Weapon compared to Mel Gibson, whereas Jason Statham was the Mel Gibson character that was crazy out of control. But, of course, the black cop dies.
Oh, of course. Of course, the melanated cop got to die, but whatever. Right.
and then you have the prototype villain hero in the same person, right, Wendell? But the evil one, eventually they're supposed to send him to, I think the prison was called Styx, in one particular version of the multiverse, where he was in constant battle of kicking and killing everybody who was trying to take him out on this prison, while the good character, they sent him to another version of the multiverse where he can still meet his wife again, who was killed by the evil.
Oh, wow. Oh, so now, and it's called The One. Now, that's another, I'm going to have to get that in before the next week when we get into the Matrix and the mathematic whole of the universe. I'm going to have to get that movie in under my belt. Wow. Okay.
Now, tying together speed versus light or thought. In the scene in Lucy, there was that one moment, Wendell, where you're talking about, where she was still getting expansion in her mind space. Yeah. And the Chinese guy shot the rockets, and the explosion caused what reaction? Because she didn't travel by light.
No, she traveled by thought.
Thought. Okay, all right. Now, if we deal with this religious dogma that we've all been taught, what's the beginning of agenda? In the beginning was what?
The Word. That's the word. What you said, right?
How do you have the Word, which is first?
Without a thought.
Word or thought. Yeah.
Right.
You see where I'm going? With
exactly. So it had to be thought first, right?
Okay. And that word ain't gonna come out without the thought.
Right.
Okay. Then so Yah, the creator of all Holy One, mighty, whatever terminology, semantics people want to use. How was the universe created? Again, we only had the earth done in 6 days. Or was it all the cosmos, the heavens, the stars, and everything, and then the earth, and then Adam, in 6 days? Not even counting all the fauna, flora, animal life, et cetera, and they're being trotted out in front of Adam for him to name each and every individual one, right?
Right.
How does this happen? I know we're just conceptualizing here.
Yeah.
But isn't it, remember last week we was talking about, you're going to tell me, I'm going to watch you use an ME, but here, take this clay stone.
Right.
Piece of clay and a stick. Which, like they also taught us in these movies. Remember, what was it, 2001? Not 2001. Where the monkey supposedly took the stick and put it in the anthill because he couldn't learn from the anteater's long tongue?
Yeah.
He took the stick and put it in the anthill.
What movie?
Ate the ants, right?
Yeah, what movie was that?
I think that was the beginning of 2001. We were talking about the evolutionary part. And then they jumped fast forward.
Yeah, I saw it, but I can't remember the name of it.
You get what I'm saying? So, now, we've been pushed so far back that we still using stone clay tablets. Okay? So, now, I'm going to listen to some Caucasoidal Europeans tell me their wildest imagination. Because it's always interesting to me how all this is theory, right? What is theory? You got a theory, don't you, Wendell? Rhonda, you got a theory. Isn't anybody's theory as legitimate as the next person? We got taught. Question is whether you're encouraged to think. Question is whether somebody puts money behind what you're thinking.
Yeah.
Question is whether or not they put even more money to convince other people behind what you're thinking. You know what I'm saying? Now you got what? White supremacy. What is that now? Is that a theory? Can you show me the evidence, fact, proof of white superiority? But now I can show you simple biological, what they call scientific fact that anything bleached, salt, sugar, flour, just take those three basic elements. You got bleached flour, you got iodized salt, and you got what done to rice?
bleached.
Stripped, right?
Mm-hmm.
What people are being producing that in this society? Obese people?
Yeah. All of the nutrition value is stripped out.
And then they start telling you that it's pasteurized.
Mm-hmm.
Fortified. What the hell is fortified? How in the hell you can put something back in that you didn't know what the hell you took out?
Right.
But you're going to tell me it's better, it's new and improved because you manufactured it.
Right.
But I can't go and reach down on the ground and take, well, I think it was a couple of scriptures they were talking about when he was running across the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the disciples were out there grabbing the wheat and rubbing it in their hand so they could break the kernel open and eating the grain straight, not waiting for it to be roasted.
Right.
Or turned into a piece of bread, getting it raw. Yeah, well, I'm just asking. I'm not saying I got any answers. I'm just making an observation. Now, when you deal with the reason why I like Star Trek versus Star Wars, the title alone should tell you that. So we already talking about some warring, barbaric, bestial people. That's why they love anything with war in it, in the title. But Star Trek means to boldly go where no one's gone before.
No man has gone before, right.
And it transmits the human story into a futuristic time unknown, which would mean what about what? Never death? Isn't that a mere statement of immortality? We will, life will out unless we kill it, literally. And so when I'm listening to these people, I appreciate you sharing that tonight. But I'm a contrarian, maybe, by nature. So, okay, I appreciate everything you said. Now, what's amazing to me is they use the example of music. They ask the question of whether you travel by light or by thought. Now, I don't want to get into what could be characterized by small-minded people as racist, but I think we know who makes the best music. Yeah. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
And even these ignorant Caucasoidal Europeans have said that jazz is the only original American art form. That cannot be duplicated. Cannot be duplicated. What is the main tenet of jazz, Wendell? Come on with me now. What is the word? Start with an I. Improvisation.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what we do, improv. That's not only jazz. Take a look at
how about still existing after their attempts of trying to exterminate us for more than 5 centuries?
Can't do it.
The other phrase they like to do it.
Melanin can't be destroyed.
Oh yeah, well that's true. That's true. But you know, we talking about packages and containers. That's what their simple-minded, two-dimensional mentality is. They attack the container. You know, they can never. If you notice, they have not come up with anything original. Why? Because they've stolen everything.
Well, because they can't. Again, like I keep pointing out, they are the derivative of the carbon.
The crack.
So they
the crack
are
of human DNA. Are you calling them the crack of human DNA? The residue?
I'm just saying, we are carbon. They are carbon-based.
Carbon-based.
We are the older beings. So how can the older being follow the younger being? It doesn't work that way. That's why some of us are lost. But everything that they do, it's always an imitation. We are the creators. They are the imitators.
Okay,
so you have to take the good with the bad. That's even their bad behavior. They copy.
Let's keep taking their argument, using the exact context that you did. What happens and Xerox was the #1 company that started this phenomenon. What happens if you do a copy of a copy of a copy?
It starts getting distorted, right? If I remember correctly.
So, and how many phases of a multiverse can they even be in existence?
That now, well, you done started something.
Now,
you done straight up started something.
I'm not saying I have any answer. I'm just making an observation. Like I said, I'm kind of contrary, in my nature. But if it's original in all forms, in all fashions. And that's why I think when you go see the movie, because I don't want to spoil it for you, you go see the one and tell me how it comes across.
Yeah, I'm a see by next week.
And every example or iteration, if you will, use that example, is original, not a copy. Because it can't be a copy. It would mean at some point it would have to have the essence of what I was at a certain point and then matched on. We all have to exist parallel and come birth out of the womb and go into a path. You follow what I'm saying? Because you're talking about infinite lanes. Now remember, they're still trying to argue about, is the universe flat? Wasn't there a flat Earth argument for a long time?
Right. It still is a flat Earth argument.
Okay. And whether or not it was a soap bubble, right? So you got flat universe, soap bubble, then you had a string. Okay? Only thing that ties all of them together is what is vibration. The fact that you and I can communicate and talk, we are vibrating tones over airwaves.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Otherwise, could you know the thoughts that I have if I can't express them that way?
Well, there is telekinesis communicated with, which they say that's the way we used to communicate. But I get your point.
Then don't you still have to have a medium? What is your language?
Realm, yes, you do still have to have a medium.
Communicate.
Yeah, but in this realm, I'll put it this way. In this realm, yes, we make things happen through sound, the vibration of sound. And actually, the whole creation story, it is said that it was done by sound.
Uttering these words in
exactly
Hebrew,
into
Hebrew.
Existence. Yes, agreed.
And your boy, or you call your boy, did you get the other books of Enoch 2 and 3?
No, I haven't gotten them yet. I haven't had time, but I'm going to eventually pull them.
There's books 1, 2, and 3. There's the Ethiopic version, the Slavonic version, and the Hebrew version with this guy who refers to himself as Rabbi Ishmael. In book 3, he continues to explain the existence of Enoch as Metatron.
Yeah, now we discussed that on a while back, that Enoch is also referred to as Metatron. Yes.
Right. Now, he was granted 70 names as the greater, or Yah. He was referred to as the lesser Yah. And Metatron translates into the youth, or the young angel, if you will, of all the heavenly hosts. But then put in charge over everything. Next.
Well, over
argument,
a particular realm.
I'm just using this as an analogy. Is that the argument these caucasoidals come up with white supremacy?
What's the argument again?
I'm using that analogy, that they're the younger race, been put in authority over this entire planet, over this entire universe, as Dr. Henderson likes to say, and now put us on the brink of self-destruction. Because they were already a screw-up.
Well,
now, if they're going back and forth through these portals, if you're saying whether it's CERN or not, or arguing these parallel universes where they can go back like quantum leap and prevent us from coming into our full circle.
Well, they can't do that.
They can't do that. They can't do that. They're not that advanced.
Exactly. And not only that, there's a new show that came out. I didn't get to see it all the way. It's on ABC, if I'm not mistaken. And they talk about where this particular team is jumping to different dimensions.
Timeless on NBC.
Timeless.
Yeah, and here's the irony of that, too. Both the central character is like Elon Musk. He's a black guy with a British accent.
Exactly.
And then there's the pilot,
Dirty Moore
built
it, right?
Exactly.
Rufus. So you know where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
So even for that to jump off, with them jumping through them dimensions, number one, a Moore built it, a melanated man, whether or not his intentions were good or not, Dirty Moore or not, melanated man built it, probably a dirty Moor, since they were saying he was from the UK.
England, yeah.
Yeah, so probably a dirty Moor. Then the brother that's the coder, he has to be with the Caucasians in order for them to go through the gateway.
Yes. Yeah.
They cannot do it without that certain level of 9 ether melanin.
And on top of that, they have to do it with a machine.
Yeah.
True that. Very good point, Brother Wendell.
And Wendell, not a machine, a hoopty.
Yeah.
The European terrorists stole the new copy.
True that, because, I mean, those of us that meditate, we can go to another realm while we are conscious. Or if you lay down and go to sleep at night, you go to other realms. So those that are 9 ether, we're already doing it. Some of us may not know we're doing it.
The thing that I find interesting is the pursuit of the string theory, which if you would, listen to it back, with a larger picture, that's music.
Absolutely. And we're going to get into that next week when we do the follow-up show, and we're going to get into some of Brother Sylvester James. I'm going to do some research on that, Brother Wendell. And we're going to talk about the universe.
And remember, there was another show they tried to bring where history was altered and the Nazis were in charge in a future time.
They're not bringing these shows just to be bringing them.
Well, but that's what their effort may be driven by that, which is irrelevant. But know that is the motivating force behind what they're doing. We got to figure out a way where we never succumb to those Negroes.
Well, they could forget that, because if they're not 9 ether, I don't know how you're going to make it.
Yeah.
That's just the bottom line. They had the opportunity to integrate their the bloodline back into the 9 ether family to get it stronger. They chose not to do that. So ain't no need coming out of a bag with us.
You already pointed out they have spent their entire existence on looking without.
Exactly.
Meaning looking at us, not looking within. Whereas we looking at them, looking without, and not understanding what's truly within.
Right.
Thank you for the time, y'all.
All right, brother. Thank you so much. Peace and love, beloved. Thank you so much.
Peace and love.
Peace and love. Peace and love.
Okay. I love it when he comes on, because he always plays devil's advocate, and we get into like 20 more minutes of conversation.
But see, the beauty of that, the beauty of the way he comes on is you come with the question. Put the question out there.
Yes. Yes, and I love it.
You ain't going to get your wheels really spinning if the question is not presented.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Totally love it. Totally love it. Okay, family. Well, that was the last call that was in queue, so we're going to wrap it up. I do want to thank you all so much, especially all of the callers, Sis Sandra for bringing it, and it was a treat. Sis Lioness, for you to come on and drop that valuable information, and Brother Tim, and then, of course, our last caller. So we're definitely, I figured we were going to have to do a follow-up show on this, so we're going to add a spin to it. We're going to talk about how the universe next week is made up of mathematic codes, and so then we'll get into the vibrations and how that's tied to musical notes and shapes and as well. So, Brother Wendell, you have any last words for the family?
Yeah, I love the participation. I love it.
Yeah, I like that too. So we're going to be opening up the phone lines earlier and let people get in the queue and put something on it. So absolutely, I love that too.
Yeah, anytime you got a similar or even a different view of something, and you put the question out there, it makes everybody's wheels spin and get us thinking again.
Does. Yes, it does. And by doing that tonight, we were also, now I know exactly what direction we can do the follow-up to next week. So I'm looking forward to that. So, and then I want to thank you, of course, Brother Wendell, for joining in as the host as well. So, family, we will be back next week. And so we're going to sign off. So with that said, we want to say peace, love, truth, freedom and justice. One heart, one mind, and one spirit. So with that, I'm going to say nightfall, and we are going to rock out with some music. And I should have had it. And so after tonight, people may think you crazy once you start talking about the Mandela effect and all that. So you could just politely play this song when they don't know what the hell you're talking about. So nightfall, family. Love you very much.
Nightfall.